Hello, my name is Cal Sellers, Master Herbalist and Natural Healing Trainer and Natural Healing Practitioner now for more than a decade. This is my wonderful daughter, sweet Elizabeth Bell. She's going to be helping us out today. She's going to be a little bit of a demo. I'm going to show you something and share with you something that's very simple. You can do at home, very inexpensive, and yet can completely renovate your health. A little product that's called castor oil that you can buy at any drugstore. You can buy in any pharmacy, in any grocery store around the world. And what you're going to do is the castor oil, by the way, it's pressed out of the castor bean, which is a plant that I believe is native to Hawaii and a few areas of that, roughly that climate. And they press it out and then they just filter it, and that's what we get is this viscous, rather thick castor oil. But when that's rubbed into your skin, now you need to know about castor oil before I tell you about that. But whatever you're going to put over it, cloth-wise, you need to know that once something gets castor oil in it, it's there. Now castor oil is clear when you get the stuff from your drugstore or pharmacy, but it will stain clothing anyway. So we're going to rub this into our skin and then be careful how we cover it. Now, hang on. What we're going to do with that castor oil is rub it into areas where we think the body has some kind of disease going on, disease process, or into an area that always has a problem whenever there's anything wrong with the body. And that area is the liver. And castor oil is wonderful. It will penetrate in, it will go into the tubes and into the lymphatics and into the cells and cause them to purge and clean out. And it will help dissolve blockages of almost every type imaginable. And so that you can rub it into the liver. You can rub it over the pancreas. I had a client who gave me a call, or wrote me an email rather, and wanted to know about dealing with type 1 diabetes. She wants to heal herself, and that's a big piece to chew, even for experienced natural healers to go to work on type 1 diabetes, which is juvenile onset. But what I did have her do is start immediately rubbing castor oil into both her liver on the right side and her stomach, spleen, pancreas area on the left side. Now, the pancreas is pretty deep, but the thing about castor oil is it's uncanny how it tends to just penetrate in and go to all of the tissues underneath, right underneath where you rub it. It'll get through the body wall. It will go through all the muscle. It will go right in, and it has an affinity for those organs. And we have seen lots of times people get amazing results from rubbing the castor oil into an area right over an organ. And she almost immediately required lower doses of insulin. Her blood sugar came down almost immediately. And this is the power that can come from castor oil. We've used it in people doing liver, gallbladder, stone flushes, and have them rub it in. And it makes the difference of whether they get one or two or none, or loads and loads of stones out doing a stone flush where they see all of these green bileless floating stones, and that comes from bile. That comes from blocked chunks of bile that have flowed out of the liver and gallbladder that were blockages in there before that. And so castor oil can be super helpful for that. But all by itself, castor oil is an amazing tool. You can rub it into scar tissue. I had a woman come to me, one of the first times I used castor oil in my personal practice. The woman came to me, she'd had, I think, 5 surgeries in her abdomen. And she was just a mess. And she was in chronic, constant pain. And I do rolfing, which is a deep tissue technique that can be used to break up scar tissue. And I said, no problem, come in. I'll work on you. You can just lay down on my massage table. Well, I got in there, and can I use your hand for just a second, Liz? I got in, and just about that deep, which isn't bothering Liz at all. But as soon as I start to work on the first shred of scar tissue, she was squawking and was in tears. And it became obvious very quickly that I was not going to be able to break it up that way. And so I said, all right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go home and massage for 10 minutes a day, once a day, but every day. I want you to massage castor oil into that scar tissue. And she went home and she did it. She even did something else in addition to that helped her. She had a little far infrared tent that she placed over her belly after she rubbed the castor oil in, because she noticed castor oil was pretty thick and didn't penetrate super fast. That helped it to penetrate in and penetrate in deeper. And what happened was, within 3 days, she was out of pain. And within a couple of weeks, she was constantly out of pain. She didn't have any pain at all. And then she had to go on a trip, and she didn't take her castor oil with her, and she got out of the habit. but she hadn't been doing it long enough to dissolve all of the scar tissue. And so she got back and was in pain again and came to see me. And I said, well, have you been doing this? And she said, oh, well, I did it for a while, but then I went on this trip. And so I should start doing it again. She started doing it again, and this time she was pain-free in 2 days, and she just kept doing it. Now, for her, it might be a life sentence. Usually, though, we can count on castor oil to actually dissolve scar tissue. Now, castor oil has been written up in medical journals, in articles, for its ability to dissolve not just scar tissue, but cysts and tumors of all types. Especially has been written up for ovarian cysts and tumors, in that it will dissolve those. Cancerous, non-cancerous, makes no difference. The castor oil will go in there and start to break them down and dissolve them. It's a wonderful tool. I also had a woman that I'm working with currently who had scar tissue in her colon from an old hysterectomy, where they had apparently just created a lot of damage, and there was quite a bit of scar tissue. And scar tissue grown into her colon, and there was a lump there. And she was massaging it in, but she wasn't happy with how fast that was going. She took a castor oil injection. She took a couple of ounces of castor oil and put it in a bulb syringe, put it into her rectum like an enema, except she put it in and left it there. And she did that just a couple of times. And at the end of that, it was amazing. That scar tissue had dissolved down to where it was just a thread, and it was bigger than my thumb, the mass that I could feel in there. In fact, I was a little worried about it because it was kind of a hard mass and right in that large intestine, and she was in the age group where I was concerned about that. But right away, we discovered that whatever it was dissolving quickly. It felt like scar tissue. I believed it was scar tissue. But when she took that injection, it dissolved down to just a thread, and that was all that was left, and there was no more threat, as far as I could tell, from that scar tissue or from that mass. Now, we've used it for lots of things since then, but I think the greatest way that it can be used is to massage into the liver and into the pancreas, spleen, and stomach. Now, the liver's on the right-hand side. The pancreas, spleen, and stomach are on the left-hand side of the body. What we're going to do with Liz right now, if it's all right with Liz, is I'm going to take just a little bit of oil, and I'm actually going to massage it into Liz's liver and into her stomach and spleen and pancreas area, so I can show you what that would look like if you were trying to heal those organs, because there is a slight technique to the massage. And I'm going to tilt the camera down a little bit so that you can see that, and maybe that's going to cut off our heads a little bit, but you'll be able to see the massage and what's going on. Is it all right with you, Liz, if we demonstrate for all these wonderful people watching how to massage that in? Say, I want to help you. All right, great. So this is not castor oil, but I'm going to show you the demonstration with this. The reason we're using this is this will wash out of Liz's clothes, whereas the castor oil wouldn't, and Liz is just dressed in her normal clothes today. So you're going to just have to deal with that, and that will do for the demonstration, okay? So we're going to tilt this down. We're just going to lift up Liz's shirt so that I can find the bottom of her rib cage, okay? This is her right side, and this is the bottom of her rib cage. So I'm going to put a little oil on my hand, okay? And it doesn't take much. Let go with your other hand, please, Liz. Let go with your hand around my neck. Okay. And just let your hand down at your side. Okay. And so what's happening is I'm going to massage that first up from her side all the way up. And no matter how big or little the person is, I'm going to follow that pattern. Okay? And I'm just massaging across. Then I'm going to get a little higher up, and I'm just going to push in on the ribs and rub across. Push in and rub across. And that kind of massages the top of the liver, which is up quite a bit higher. Okay, it's up underneath the rib cage, below the diaphragm, but underneath the rib cage here. And so she's going to feel a little, and I'm kind of pushing out air as I rub across. Does that feel like a little bit of pressure, Liz? Okay, and then I'm going to rub underneath like this. And I actually want to kind of curve up underneath the rib cage a little bit so that I'm actually putting a little pressure on the bottom of that liver as I massage, okay? Then I'm going to do a little circle here in the middle, little clockwise circle. Then the last thing I'm going to do, now I would do this for much longer than I'm going to show you here. I would do it for 5 to 10 minutes every single day. But the last thing I'm going to do is go down to her navel, which is just barely below. There you can see it. Go down to her navel, come across to about the midline here on her side, and I'm going to just come up a little bit, and I'm just going to lift and move over to the center, lift and move over to the center. And what that's going to do is lift and encourage her gallbladder to dump.